welcome to another episode of Whiteboard Sessions with me, Andrew Maff. I'm the founder and CEO of BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company for e-commerce sellers. And today I'm going to go through my top 8 pieces of gated content that any e-commerce seller can leverage, that they can actually use to start increasing the amount of emails that they're getting. Sometimes we all know that getting the purchase isn't the easiest thing to do every time, so sometimes you have to ease them into the process by offering them something else similar to gated content where you can gain their email and start to nurture them as time goes on. So we're going to dive right in here. We're just going to go into my top 8. So almost every single one of these can be used by any seller. In other cases, you might have to get a little creative with it, but we'll start off with this first one. So a lot of these you see used in B2B a lot. So something like calculators. So I'm going to have to pick something that I do all the time, right? So let's pretend I own a company that sells drum sets, right? So I'm Kaiser Soze this thing, and my drum set's right there, so I'm doing it. So let's pretend that I have an e-commerce company that sells drum sets. How can I leverage calculators, right? Think of all of the different ways that your user can benefit from a calculator. So maybe if you're in the pet industry, it's go through the list of things that you need for your new puppy, and here's the calculator of how much that's going to cost you. In my case, a drum set. I need new cymbals, I need new hardware, I need a drumstick, I need obviously an entire new set. What is that whole thing going to cost to set me up to now be a drummer? And setting up these little calculators are great because you can go through and kind of set these up. There's a bunch of different companies out there that'll create these for you. And then you can actually just set it up where the way that they get their answer at the end is they provide you with an email or something like that. And they're fun, they're interactive, it provides an experience, and it's a great way for someone to obviously gain an email with using a calculator. Another option, of course, is like quizzes, which again is another one that you'll see used a lot for B2B. Quizzes, there's also stuff on B2C, like if you ever done like the which Disney princess are you? So like you can do a quiz like that. Side note, I'm an Ariel. So quizzes are great. So let's use the same scenario, right? So I have a drum set. The quiz could basically be something along the lines of if you're trying to figure out how good of a drummer you are, if you know the different acronyms or if you know the different terminology, you can take a quiz and find out what level drummer you are, or maybe what kit you kind of play, what level of a kit you have, and maybe what level you want. Or we talked about the pet one too. So quizzes can be what kind of dog should you get? So here's what I like to do, here's the activities I do, here's what my house is like. There's a ton of different ways that you can leverage quizzes to actually start to bring in another way of getting emails from someone. So another one, it's pretty standard. I'm actually not a huge fan of these just because to me they're kind of boring. So I'm talking about like ebooks and white papers and all that fun stuff. So basically, you create an ebook, if you want to make it like anywhere between like 5,000 to 10,000 words or something like that. These are usually like if you were to buy a book, it'd be like a little small pamphlet kind of thing. But of course, you could go bigger, but the chances of someone reading it are a little bit less likely. But even for e-commerce, ebooks and white papers can do great. So of course, like I use the drum set as an example. If I read an ebook from a company that sold drum sets, but that ebook was co-authored by a very famous drummer, would always be interesting. You don't always have to write these yourselves. You can have an influencer write it, or you can even have a ghostwriter write it and then just have the influencer sign off on it, and now it's authored by them. But it's another great way to really leverage these. I personally am not a fan just because I think these got a little beat up and a little outdated now, but they're super easy to create, so making them and giving them a shot never hurts. There's something great you can always test with. Another one in e-commerce that's super standard, right? So you think like discounts. So this could be anything. This could be here's 10% off, here's free shipping, here's a buy one, get one free when you sign up with us. Like that one's your pretty standard pop-up that you see as almost like a welcome series kind of thing. But it is obviously one of the more beneficial if you're willing to do the discount. Some luxury brands don't want to do that, but even luxury brands, it wouldn't hurt to offer like, hey, on your first order, we'll offer you free shipping if you don't already offer it at any rate, just so that we can gain your email. So it's going to improve your conversion rate because you're more likely to see someone purchase that way, but it's also going to improve obviously the amount of emails you get. So next one is calendars. So this one's interesting. So we'll use the same scenario, right, as the drum set. So this could be anything. So actually, let me give you an example. We have one. So we actually have a calendar that is for e-commerce sellers that you can go to our website and you can download, or in this theory, you actually gain access to. So it's a live Google Sheet that we created that basically has a giant list of every event going on that we think e-commerce sellers could be a part of that would be interesting for them to join. And the nice thing about it is right now it's relative to this current year, but we update it continuously. So next year it will obviously be relevant to next year. And so with the calendar, it's a live updated thing. So these people who sign up for them are not just getting like a one-time ebook or maybe a one-time answer to a quiz or a calculator, but they're getting access to a live document that we're updating for them. So use the drum set thing as an example. It could be different live virtual things that are happening on your own business or on someone else's business, or it could be drum teaching lessons that are going on in your area and what days they're on. Of course, we use the pet thing as well because my dog is sitting here rubbing up against everything, but it could be when is Golden Retriever Day, when is take your pet to work day, and you could have a calendar for that that's just around you and your pet. So there's a ton of things you can do here that could work really well. Another one is exclusive groups, right? So this is pretty standard. You get a lot of e-commerce sellers that do this. You think like a Facebook group, or if it's a B2B business, you think a LinkedIn group. Something that we started doing because Facebook is getting a little outdated. LinkedIn's a little crowded and not as many people leverage the groups. There is also Discord, which is growing pretty well, but we'll see how that does over time, because if I had done this video 6 months ago, I would have said Clubhouse, and I'm not going to reference that one this time. So there are different ways that you could approach it, but the one thing that my opinion that is sticking pretty well is also something that we have also. So we have something called Seller Slack. And basically we created a workspace that's simply for e-commerce sellers. And the way that we do it is it's gated, so you can't get in there without proving that you're an e-commerce seller, or we won't allow you in, because I've been a part of other e-commerce sellers groups and there's always vendors and everyone's trying to sell me stuff, and I hate that. So basically that's a way that we were able to just consolidate our entire group into one area. So again, drum set scenario, you can create an entire exclusive group for just drummers in Facebook or in Slack or in Microsoft Teams if you wanted to go that route. Same thing with pets. You could actually theoretically do one in Slack and create a channel for almost every type of dog breed, so you can keep people in there that are relative to every dog breed. Like, there's so many ways that you can do it, but it's a great way to keep your audience in one place, get their email for obviously the reason that we're having this video, but also a great way to control the conversation so you can see what they're talking about. It's also a nice way to do some market research. Next is checklists. So this one can work pretty well. It's kind of going the way of the ebook and the white paper, unless you can make it like really awesome of something that people don't realize that they're always forgetting. But this you typically want to create as like a PDF, as like a one-pager, because sometimes you will actually have people who print things out. But checklists, again, this could be with the drum set of like, if you're a drummer and you're doing gigs, did you remember your cymbals? Do you remember your sticks? Do you remember your kit, obviously? Do you remember your hardware? Do you remember everything else? Do you need microphones? Did you bring those? So that could be a checklist. If you're doing it with dogs and you're a pet, so you're going out on the day with your pet, do you have water? Do you have their leash? Do you have poop bags? Do you have treats? Like, you could literally just have a checklist for anything. And the one thing that I'll mention about these two, about every single one of these, is that there is like almost no challenge to setting these up. Some websites that will allow you to set up calculators and embed them on your site are really not that expensive. The quizzes really are not that expensive. Ebooks and white papers, we have 4 or 5 of them at this point at least. And what we did is we hired a writer to go and do the research. They did all of the writing. They did everything. We obviously provided what we wanted them to do. And then we'd read through it, and then I'd have our designer knock it out. So not too expensive there, but you can kind of template these and just have your writer fly through them. Discounts basically free except for the cost of the discount, of course. Calendars, you set that up once and then you just have someone keep an eye out and update it. Groups, you set that up once and it just stays, and none of the groups cost any money. And then same with checklists. You just put the checklist together, have a designer make it nice, and now all of a sudden you have something that you can get someone's email from. And the last, so this is 9. It's actually 9. I forgot 2 here. So it's actually, another one is really obvious, newsletters. And so this one's interesting. This isn't like, okay, once a month I'm going to send you another discount. I'm talking more about like an informative newsletter, something that is a little bit more targeted towards the community and less targeted towards trying to get transactions. So I'm referring to something like on a weekly newsletter. So again, let's use everything that I've referenced today. If we're doing drum sets, like, okay, once a week, here's, a top covers that we found on YouTube of people doing drum covers. Here's some stuff that's going on in the industry. Here's obviously you could still keep the eye out of like, here's the product here's a brand that has released a new kit or is thinking of releasing a new kit or something along those lines. Even with pets, you can do something with that of like, it's seasonal and it talks about like, hey, during this time of the month, you might want to think about doing this. Or maybe like you have a golden retriever section and a golden doodle section or something along those lines, but something on the informative side where they look forward to it and it's actually a piece of reading material for them as opposed to just a standard discount. And then the 9th one that I forgot about is interesting because it doesn't always grab emails unless you set it up correctly. But the nice thing about emails is that obviously you can pretty much reach out to them whenever you want, and you can take that email and leverage it, whether you're doing Facebook ads or Pinterest ads or Google or whatever, and you can create lookalike audiences and all that fun stuff. Chatbots are relatively similar in the fact that you can get to know your audience, you can reach out to them almost whenever you want. You can't really leverage the email side of things because you're not getting an email in this scenario unless you set up this chatbot to ask for an email. Now, that would obviously be best practice, but obviously getting people to sign up for a chatbot in general is great because now you can send them push notifications and you can reach out to them for people that actually leverage Facebook Messenger, or obviously now Instagram Messenger is also something that you can run chatbots through. So this is another great way. We'll call this kind of like a bonus one. But I always set up chatbot flows where within like the first, flow of them subscribing to the chatbot that we're requesting their email, in which case obviously that's still relevant to all of these. But it's still a great piece of gated content to set up. And sometimes what we'll even do with sellers is we'll offer certain discounts or something like that to people who solely are on our chatbot or to people who are solely on our email list, or another video for another day, people who are solely on our SMS messaging, so that basically they're encouraged to join us in every scenario that they can so that they always get the opportunity to get a discount. But another video, another time. But these are my 8 and bonus top 9 gated content pieces that every e-commerce seller should at least test at one point. And then that way, it will definitely help you increase your email list. But that's all I wanted to go through today. I'm not going to be a dead horse. These are your top 9. Thanks for joining. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Make sure you comment. Let me know if I missed any that you've used before. I'd be more than happy to redo this video and update this. But if not, also make sure you comment. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. But per usual, appreciate y'all coming, and I will see you next time.